Hello and welcome back to our SPSS tutorials. Here we are going to do another example. This is going to be different than what we did in class yesterday. It was something I was hoping we'd have a chance to do, but instead we will do it here via video. And that is to go from the process of downloading data off of an online source and pulling it into SPSS for the first time. And so here I am at the ICPSR website as we were at yesterday. And so I need to start by logging in. And so I've clicked the login screen up there. I'm going to enter in my credentials here. I have signed up for this account using my AIR address, but you are also able to sign up for an ICPSR account using your GW addresses, and that'll work just fine for you. So I've entered my user email and I have entered in my password. And so now I am going to log in. And so I am logged into the ICPSR website, as you can see right here. So I'm going to search for topics that might interest students or may just be interesting to me. And the one I would like to look up is gender violence. And so if I search on gender violence, I get several responses. And so the study I'm interested in looking at today is going to be the International Dating Violence Study 2001 to 2006. Now you'll see, as we were discussing yesterday, I have the description of the study here, which I can expand to read all about it down here. And then I also have information about access in terms of public access is available to me. And again, this is what I'm looking for. And by logging in, this is what it's telling me is that I have access to it because I am, my institution being AIR in this case, is an ICPSR member. So this is a very large data set, and it indicates that given its size. And while it would be awesome to download the individual data file, because I'm not really interested necessarily in the data per se today, but rather in demonstrating the data, I'm going to go ahead and download the nation data set, which is much, much smaller. And so I'm going to click the download all files. And ICPSR is going to go through and ask me to essentially give me warnings. Hey, don't do anything wrong with this data. You're all going to read through here in terms of what you should not be doing with this data, as well as what are the implications if you do happen to violate it. I will not be violating it. I'm going to agree to all of these terms. And so here we go. It's downloading shortly. And again, down here in the lower left-hand corner of my screen, you can see that it is downloading. While it is downloading, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, and the data has downloaded, and so I'm going to go find that data in my download folder again. Here's my so I'm got back in my SPSS example folder, and then I'm going to find the downloads folder, and we will see here that I have my new ICPSR file. So I'm going to drag that over here. This 3 is because I have downloaded this file multiple times today just to make sure this would work. So I'm just going to delete that so that I'm not getting repeated versions of the same file. And now I need to, similar to what we did before with the first zip file we were working with, we need to extract this data. Again, the first thing we need to do is make sure that we're getting this data pulled out of these zip files, because otherwise we are not going to be able to do anything with them in SPSS. And so to get them out, I'm going to use my WinZip, and I'm going to WinZip them to the folder that will be newly created once it's all extracted. And here we see this newly created folder, ICPSR _29583. Again, once you get into this folder, you may have to dig down a little bit, but as you dig down, we're going to eventually arrive at the data set. So there are a couple of interesting things to take note of here. One is it appears as if there's already an SAV file created. This is wonderful. This suggests that we don't actually need to create the data file. It has been created for us. And so you can double click on this, getting a Unicode error. That's okay. Simply clicking yes there would work. And it opens up the data set. And looking at this data set that was opened, it does appear as if, to a large extent, this is the data file that we would want to use if we were interested in analyzing the data that we had downloaded. And again, you can see here this variable WNAT name nation name, and you'll see that it lists each of the nations, and each of these nations is corresponding with a particular row. In terms of what these values for the variables mean, again, having not used this data set before, none of these variable names mean anything to me inherently, but you can come over here and you can look and see what these variables happen to mean based upon the label associated with them. So this is great whenever you're able to download data, and the data that is downloaded is the actual data set you are looking for. And again, I know this is a data set in SPSS format because it is finished with the file extension .sav. At the same time, I do see in this folder a txt file similar to the txt file we were looking at previously, as well as a setup command here for SPSS syntax code. And so to simply walk through these steps again so we can look at this process going through the raw motions, let's go ahead and we're going to open up the setup file, and we'll see here that this is, again, someone having gone through and generated lots and lots and lots of code in order to pull in the data from the txt file into an SPSS file. And again, this is down here where we need to start to update. So in terms of updating this information, we want to start here with the file handle. And here you can see that it is providing us with the place we need to replace this information. And so again, what we need to put here is we need to put the pathway as well as the file name. And so our pathway is where the txt file is located. And so again, I'm in this folder, so I'm going to left click, and then I'm going to copy this information, and I'm going to paste the pathway here. And then I also need to let it know what the data file is called. And so the data file in this case is 29583-002-data. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that at the end, and then I'm going to type in txt because that is the type of file that it is. Next, I need to find the save out file command, so I'm going to hit Control F. Save is still in there from the last time we were searching on save. And we'll see down here that the save out file command is listed here. And so it is grayed out, and if it is grayed out like this, in order to remove that grayed out effect, you simply want to remove the asterisk that exists at the front of it. And so now we need to fill in information here. So again, I need to tell SPSS where I want it to save my file. And so I want it to go ahead and save my file back to where it is currently pulling from. So I'm going to replace this first part here with my pathway. I'm going to introduce a backslash, and then I'm going to give the file a name. And again, here you can call it whatever you would like to. Since the name of our file was let me back up one more, the International Dating Violence Study, I will go ahead and give this an abbreviation of IDVS, and I will just go ahead and call it IDVS Master. And the reason I use the word master a lot is because I use that in order to remind myself that this is the master file, the original file, and it helps me remember not to do anything to that master file, but rather, as I begin to manipulate the data, to save the file under a different name so that I always have this initial or original master file to come back to. So I've now entered in the pathway as well as a name of the name that I would like to give to the newly created file. And so I will select Control A to choose to select everything in the syntax, and again Control R to run it. SPSS is running. You can tell this down here. You can come back over here to see whether or not there are any errors that took place. No errors popped up. Again, we have the IBM SPSS statistics processor is ready. This indicates that the SPSS is done running whatever command was just given to it. And since we were running the generation of a new data file, we believe that a new data file was created. And if we go here, we see that indeed our IDVS master file was created. And we can also go here and look at it on the screen, and we will see that it has some of those data similar to what we were looking at